Hi again. My name is Linda Bagshaw, and I am here in my classroom going to show a lesson that how I modify lessons to help children be able to reach the academics at their core, the needed core standards. This particular one that I like to teach uses the Very Hungry Caterpillar book, and I read the book to them. They also, this is usually addressed to first and second graders. Read the book to them, and then we talk about starting with what first, next, and last. And this can be either addressed towards understanding that what letters come first, next, and last in CBC words, or versus if we are talking about how to even write a paragraph, like what happened first, what happened next, what happened last. And when working with students that need to be sounding out words, I like to use little tiny puff balls so they can actually push them on the table. You can see that. Where are they at? Ooh, there they are. If there was to be k, a, t, we use puff balls, or that they could squish them. Sometimes I use Play-Doh so they can actually squish the sounds out. I also have them stand up on the board and physically move themselves. So I will have 3 students, and they'll have to go stand in front of letters on the board where one of them has to say the first sound, the next student has to say the middle sound, and the next student has to say the last sound. And then they can stir each other up, and then they have to, again, be able to express knowing which one's the first sound, next sound, and last sound. I believe that this helps all students be able to see the left to right motion, and then practice it physically, along with being able to touch it and physically move their bodies. They also have to, when I teach this particular lesson, we read it all together once. They get to watch a little video where somebody else reads it all together. We usually read the book 3 times, or listen to the book on a little video from YouTube, simple little somebody else reading it, but they're all totally enjoy watching it on the computer. And then they have to sequence the events of the fruit, and it's also a good learning tool for learning the days of the week. But I feel like watching it numerous times, talking about it in multiple settings, helps them be able to reach the curriculum and understand it in a different way, where they can then apply it to understanding that first, next, last, or, CBC words too. When I have English language learners, I think it's imperative to also put the lesson into a form where they can see it. They don't have to, it's not just them reading, it's them actually physically getting up and making it, seeing their peers stand in different levels, or different places. It helps them be able to do it themselves, and then it's not a language barrier as much when they physically do it, or they have something that they can attach to as being meaningful for them, that they've actually seen it happen and that they're able to work with it. I use the puff balls with kids just because it's nice to have that physical movement, that kinesthetic movement that can help bridge those gaps in their brain and allows them to have more practice. At the end of the lesson, depending on if it's first grade or second grade, or even I've done it with some third graders, is we make little caterpillars out of our little squishy balls, and I just hot glue them together, and they get to pick some googly eyes, and it just gives them it's just a positive reinforcement that I think is necessary, that also helps them have an attachment to the lesson rather than just me teaching them a lot of times the same thing over and over again that they've seen. It's nice to give them an experience where they get something out of it. And I like to always kind of attach either art or science to my lessons so that the students come away with something memorable. And a lot of times they might remember the activity and they don't even realize that there was some sort of a learning experience that they had, because they remember the art or the science instead of the actual lesson. I mean, they remember the education, but it's not like I'm sitting down saying, hey, we're going to learn how to write a paragraph today, or we're going to learn why we read from left to right. They associate the art activity or the science activity, and they remember and they recall, and they come up to me and say, hey, Mrs. B, do you remember when we did this? And I think that is so incredibly worthwhile. I also make sure that in all of my lessons that I make a list of, like this. We always have, these are from some older kids, but just lists of vocabulary words, constantly going over vocabulary words and their meanings. And very often we look things up online and find pictures to associate with those lists. I also found recently an amazing section on to be able to associate SIPS phonics with, I don't know if these might be at the printer still, SIPS phonics words with pictures, and I must be in the printer's room still, but it's amazing to have those pictures. So when I have some students that are still struggling with even understanding their vowel blends, I can set aside these pictures, and it gives them something meaningful to understand, even though they're beginning to learn how to read. They might be third grade, but they're still at a kinder level, and they have seen everything so many times that they're bored of it. They're tired of watching SIPs. They're tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, because they're not stupid. They know that they've seen it before. You have to change it up. You have to make it fun. So that's why I always like to bring art or other even stories that they've probably heard a million times, but you know, kids, they love stories, and bring it in and make it meaningful for them. So hope you have a great day. I'm hoping this loads up on YouTube. Good. All right. Bye-bye.